Hey, what's up, everybody? Evan Freiberger here with your weather forecast, and today we're going to be going over the smoke forecast to see who else can see some bad air quality from the wildfire smoke coming from Canada into the United States. And also, we have severe weather returning for the southern plains, and we're going to be talking about that and figuring out what that means for you. Also, just a quick little update. We do now officially have an El Nino, and all that really means is that there is a specific area in the Pacific Ocean that is above 1 degree Celsius, above the temperatures that we would typically see in this area. This is supposed to have global impacts, but this year is going to be a little bit different just because we have really hot temperatures in the Atlantic and also really hot temperatures in the Pacific. That being said, it is an important thing to consider as we go into the future. But regardless, let's get to the forecast. All right, first we're going to start off with the smoke forecast, and the first thing that we're going to be looking at is the HRRR simulated near surface smoke. And essentially, the greens are, unhealthy air, but not super unhealthy, but the purples are really bad for your health. So make sure you pay attention to where those colors are on this map. But you can see, you can kind of tell where the fire is coming from up there in Quebec, and we still have this low pressure system off the East Coast, which is going to be bringing that smoke today and tomorrow down into the Pennsylvania, a little bit into Ohio, then working its way into Virginia. As for the rest of the country, maybe some less bluer skies, as there is a little bit of smoke a little bit higher up above the surface as you get further and further down into the southeast. But for the most part, at the end of this model, pay attention, you can see that the winds shift a little bit up to the north in Canada, which is going to bring relief and end this onslaught of near surface smoke coming into the United States, which is great news for a little bit. We ever get another low pressure system come through in the exact same area that this one was, then potentially we could see some more smoke if these fires don't get put out in time. So make sure you have a plan in place to deal with this smoke as it comes into your area. All right, now we're going to hop into the severe weather risks for the United States. And as you can see today, we have a slight risk for Austin, just south of Houston and just to the east of San Antonio, going all the way into the Texas coast there. So going into the upper level winds here, you can see as I move this forward at around 1, 2, 3 p.m. you can see those upper level winds are kind of peaking there, which if there is a lack of lower level shear with these storms could produce some decent sized hail. Moving this forward, you can see that moves off the coast by around 9 p.m. So that's probably when we're going to be expecting some of the severe weather to be over. Let's go look at the lower level shear to see if this is going to be more of a damaging wind risk and a hail event or just a hail event. So moving this forward, you can see that there is 0 lower level shear for today, which means the primary risk that I am concerned about is going to be that large hail. Coming over to the surface base cape, you can see that there is a lot of energy in the atmosphere. Essentially, surface base cape is just how much buoyancy is in the atmosphere, which, if you treat a storm like a balloon, the further the balloon rises, the more instability there is. And as you can see, there's a lot of instability out there. Typically over 1,000 joules per kilogram is enough for severe weather, and we have almost 3 times that limit. Now, going over to the composite reflectivity, which is essentially future radar, you can see that these storms start up at around 12 p.m. You can see that there is some rain happening around Killen, and then that moves down to the south and east. We have a couple isolated storms fire initially at around 2 p.m. today. Moving this forward, you can see some more potentially stronger storms fire just to the south and west of Austin, Texas, and that kind of moves down and then dies. And then we start to see maybe some more stronger storms just to the west of Beaumont, Texas. And then all of these storms exit off of the coast there. So it's really going to be a hit or miss event out there for you guys today. The last thing we're going to look at is the tornado wind and hail risk for today. For tornadoes, we're not seeing any threat, mainly because there's no lower level shear out there to provide spin in the atmosphere. Looking at the wind threat, it is a 5% for damaging winds, which is not too elevated. Potentially see a small chance for those damaging winds of up to 60 miles an hour. And then also we have a hail risk today, 15% for quarter-sized hail. From quarter-sized hail up to about 1.75-inch hail is possible today. So if you live in Austin or just to the east of San Antonio and south of Houston, you definitely need to be weather aware today, mainly just for the hail. Now, moving over to Saturday's threat, you can see that this severe weather is going to be a little bit more widespread than what's going to be happening today. If you look at Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and parts of Texas, you're going to be in that slight risk. The main risks with these storms are going to be damaging winds and hail. Let's hop into the kinematics of the storm really quick and see what we can expect from it. As you can see, there is some shear up there, but it's not a lot. I mean, starting at about 4 p.m., that upper level shear does start to get going a little bit and then picks up as we get into the overnight hours, which is when these storms are expected to fire. So there is potential for some spin if we can get that lower level wind shear to come in. And if you look at the lower level wind shear, you can see that there is some there as well. So maybe a small tornado potential is possible with this storm. But I really do feel like the main risk is going to be that damaging wind and hail threat. Now, going over to the surface-based CAPE, you can see that there's a decent amount of CAPE out there, up to 4,000 joules per kilogram with these storms, 2,000 out in front of them. So there's definitely plenty of instability for these storms to fire, get big, and drop some big hail. Also, last thing I want to look at before we go into the rough timing of this storm is the mixed layer CIN, which is essentially the cap. A cap is like a cap on a bottle that holds the storms from growing in size, and this can prevent severe weather. And as you can see on the southern portion of these storms, it does seem like there is going to be a cap in place, but if a cap does break down there, you might see a storm or two near the Fort Worth and Dallas region. All right, well, that's about what you can expect for the smoke and the severe weather. So thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.